What's up, guys? Welcome to a fun episode, kind of like a podcast, kind of not, but I've got my buddy Shane here, and he's the owner of Clocks and Colors. So you've seen me wearing the rings, you've seen the necklaces, you've seen all of the things that this guy makes with his team, and we wanted to hop on today and talk a bit about business, starting businesses, our collab. He's just like me. Started with an idea, probably working regular jobs we're going to get into, and now owns this super dope brand. And I think that's value that you'll all enjoy hearing from. Shane, thanks for coming over and having coffee. And
thanks for having me, man. First time having caffeine in weeks. It feels good.
I know. Why did you cut out caffeine? Just to try it and
just to give it a break, you know. Not because I'm not obsessed, you know.
Yeah, I should try that one day.
It's one of those things where sometimes you just got to see if you can.
All right, so tell me a bit about how you started the brand.
You know, real quick, it was super organic. Like, I just went backpacking after I finished school. I didn't plan to start a business or anything, and I saw these people making, you know, random jewelry while I was in Bali, and I just asked somebody if they could make me something. I wanted
Wait, hang on. Where did you see people making random jewelry?
In the middle of Bali. Like, it was in a little, actually the village is pretty famous now. It's called Ubud.
Oh, I've been there.
You've been there?
I've been there, yeah.
Yeah, so I became famous because of that Eat, Pray, Love book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just asked the dude, I'm like, hey, you know, could you just make this for me? Drew something on a piece of paper. He's like, yeah, cool, come back in 2 days.
You just straight up sketched something where like, hey, if this is possible.
That started this like crazy obsession with like custom everything for the rest of my life. And that was back in like 2010. I just spent the next few years kind of building a different brand. But a few years into that, I was like, you know, this brand has really kind of developed its own life, its own kind of personality, and it's not really perfectly in line with who I am. And so I decided to do Clocks and Colors, and that was just supposed to be kind of an expression for me, you know, like I wasn't really concerned like if this is gonna become a real business or anything. I just wanted something where I could make some cool products that I was into. So, you know, built in that world of like rock and roll and motorcycles and tattoos. And
you started a brand and you had it for a decade, and it like turned into something that wasn't really any more aligned with your vision. So I feel like a lot of creators and stuff have the same feelings about the work they create. And I heard a quote recently from a friend of mine: stop creating for what other people want and just create for what you want. And I feel like that's kind of what reminds me of you starting Clocks and Colors.
It's been a hell of a journey. It's been really cool. Like,
because you guys do a lot of collaborations.
We do a lot of collabs, yeah. Most of them are just because I'm like, I admire this person or this band. Like, let's just do something, you know?
That's probably why we get along, because we have a lot of similarities. But I've always just tried to at least direct the path that I take in business towards things that I just genuinely like. You guys know I genuinely like pocket knives and everyday carry items and jewelry. So that's why you see the collab items that I do are jewelry and necklaces that I would naturally wear. I have a pickup truck on the back of a hoodie that we did because I just naturally like pickup trucks. So it's kind of like I think the winning recipe when you're starting to craft what you want to do in your life as far as business goes, if you're starting your own or trying to get a brand going. I would say Clocks and Colors has a very distinct attitude and style to it. Was that always the plan, to get it to be like a little bit of like anti-establishment?
The kind of motto, you know, and I know this has been a little bit memed out, but we've used zero given since 2013 from the jump, and that was kind of the idea, you know, like we really just wanted this to be a brand that's not for everyone.
That sounds cool. A brand that's not, because that's
you know, if we offend some people, we don't care.
Does that ever bother you though? Because like I feel like it's so easy to get into, even just with creating videos, it's so easy to just try to please what everybody wants. So like when you get some bad comments towards a video that are like, make more of this, you're like, oh, I should probably try and do that. And it's so hard to fight that, like, no.
It is hard to fight it, but like you just got to focus on what fires you up, you know, like you can't make everyone happy. This brand celebrates that. You know, the stories that we want to tell with it too are like the stories of people who took a different path, kind of go against the grain. And, you know, I know that can sound cliche, but those are the stories we want to celebrate and tell. And like those stories often piss a lot of people off.
You always put out like a video or try to kind of have like a mission statement or something. And I haven't seen a lot of brands do that, because you kind of put everything out in like groups. Like there's like a theme.
It's exactly that. You know, it goes back to storytelling, and I think it just keeps things authentic. So when it comes to a collaboration, like with this latest collab with you, right? Like, you know, right from the start, I said, you know, are there any photos that you're proud of and that inspired charge you, or, you know, obviously you and I are always talking about trucks and things with big motors and
Sounds right.
you know, so we wanted to cover those bases because it's authentic to you, and that's going to really speak to your audiences. And, you know, I think that that's what our audience picks up on. Like, I think they appreciate that. It's just a lot easier to build a collection when you have a clear narrative. And then that leads into cool videos and cool photo shoots and you know, that kind of thing.
Come on. This video is brought to you by Anchor. This is one of the new devices in their MagGo series, the 622. You've seen my everyday carry before. You know that I carry one of these in my backpack at all times, primarily because I use an iPhone mini and the battery is... So I need to charge that thing halfway through the day, or if I'm on a plane, train, automobile. This is a fun new little version that has a flap that comes down and magnetizes into a stand. So you can actually put your phone on it and it magnetizes, so you can be hands-free or have a good place to store your phone while you're working at your desk where you can see it. It's also charging, that you can just pick it up and go. Now, if you are using the mini, it protrudes from the bottom just slightly, but you can still talk on the phone, you can still text on the phone. It's not a big deal at all. But if you're using any other 13 phone, it fits on there perfectly fine. I appreciate innovation, and it's something that I was already using and already loving. Super satisfying. It's almost like a fidget spinner on its own. I mean, come on, we're not gonna do that again, but. So thanks to Anchor for sponsoring this video. If you wanna check one of these out, the links are in the description below. Grab one, make it part of your EDC. It will 100% come in handy. It might even save your life. It's possible. It could save it entirely.
Cool concepts and whatnot. So that's kind of what we did with these. This is, how did you guys come across this stone? Because we're using this stone in this ring to kind of represent the sky. Do you know much about this stone?
People seek out this stone, right?
Yeah.
Like they want that energy. That's actually the cool thing about stones. Like, we don't get too into it because, you know, people are like, this is getting a little bit woo-woo, but like,
sure,
there's a lot of history around them. And, you know, apparently they carry certain energies. And a lot of people were really fired up when we brought out this stone because it's got a lot of like positive energy around it. Could be why it's so expensive.
I looked it up. Like, you can only find it in a certain spot in Africa.
You probably know more than I do at this point.
I'm just big. I'm big into like diving into things. So like, the little details for me always are what, like with the pirate brand, like I've always loved being able to share how something was handcrafted, but like I'll get deep into like, if we're going to sell a wallet or something, I'd be like hand stitched with the polyester thread to someone just buying a wallet. That means nothing.
You know, you could look at it two different ways, right? Like, you could look at it like it encourages overconsumption, but I actually think it does the opposite. I think it makes people almost engage with their products in a little bit more of a romantic way. It makes you appreciate it more, you know? So you're not just out there for fast fashion and just things that are easily replaced.
Okay, so like you guys release new pieces. Is it every Tuesday?
We're at the point now where we're expanding so far into kind of the lifestyle of what we're building that, you know, we're doing like premium headwear and eyewear and all kinds of stuff. So we're now actually launching, for the most part, every Monday and Thursday.
So we're used to that as creators, trying to put out sometimes as many videos as we can a week. Sometimes it's one or two or three, or consistency, I think, is a big factor in your success. It's hard enough creating videos, but physical products, how do you navigate physical products launching 2 to 3 times a week now? That like, I legitimately want to know how that works.
You know, believe it or not, it's actually been easier than how we used to do it. We used to do it in that classic seasonal way, right? So, you know, we'd come out with a collection, but it would all come out all at once. The weekly drops, it allows us a lot of flexibility. Like, let's say that a couple products are behind schedule. We can kind of just rotate things.
Like, you brought out a punching bag and driving gloves, and it's going way outside.
I think it's all in the same world though, you know, like it's all part of that same lifestyle, but candidly, it's just that I want. That's what it comes down to. And that's why I think it's authentic. You know, like I'm just building around my lifestyle. Like we did that boxing bag and boxing gloves because I just started getting into boxing. You know, I'd set up a boxing bag at my home gym and I'm like, this thing's kind of ugly. You know, I'd love to just see a really sick one. Did some research, found this company that's making really cool kind of vintage vibes. It's always that. It's always just like, man, I want this, you know, and you just go make it.
Yeah, 100%. I that's kind of like the pirate brand is a lot like that. We'll be like drinking whiskey and I'm like, I bought the glasses on Amazon or something. These are so bad. Like these need to be hand blown, super heavy. I want to pick this up and just think like, holy crap, like that is that is insane. It's like, let's build that. And I think a lot of the products that we've done with that brand, they're actually very similar, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
Pirate Life and Clocks and Colors.
Crazy parallels. I mean, and that's why doing a collab there made so much sense, right? Like,
and people haven't even seen all the pieces from that collab yet, or even up close. I showed like a little sneak preview of this, but maybe chuck that back away there just to not give it away. Those two brands for me just live in such a close proximity because I think because of you and I, and we're always like dreaming up products and sending them to each other, and we both want what each other's made. But like axes and stuff, like I remember I bought a Best Made axe, and that's a cool brand, but it was just not what I expected it to be from what I saw online. And then I just thought, let's just make axes. How do we do that? Yeah. And I think it just starts with like a question and not like, do you think it's possible? It's possible. We're just going to do it.
It's all possible. Like whenever you have an idea, like there's somebody out there that can help you make it.
You turned my world upside down when it came to rings. I've been wearing rings on this channel forever because like I've picked them up in different places and they mean different things to me. And there's different times in my life where I was wearing them or I bought them to signify a moment. I first got a turquoise ring with my friend Chris Ramsey, who's another big YouTuber, and we both bought those rings like the day we both decided that we were going to like quit our jobs and become YouTubers. And
yeah, I want to hear more about that story.
I think I've told it before, but if no one's ever heard it, like we were on a job and we were standing outside the hotel in San Diego. I remember him saying to me like, I think I'm gonna quit. I was like, where are you gonna go, man? He's like, I have 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think I could probably do something with that. And I was like, well, that's a lot. But do you think you can actually make it like what everyone says when it comes to YouTube? Can you actually make money with that though?
Yeah,
like how does that even work? It's just this mythical thing that apparently provides income. He's like, I don't know how it works, but I just think I'm going to do it. I just know that like I need to chase my own thing to be happy. And that's kind of like what I've always preached is like my whole life goal was never to become a YouTuber or even a professional photographer with any notoriety at all. Like I didn't need that. I don't need that. What I do need was to work for myself. I needed to be employed by me doing what my interests were. Because even when I picked jobs that were in line with my interests, I was a photographer for something or a videographer or an editor for something. It was just still like, I always answered to someone and I always had to kind of edit the way they wanted to. And I'm just so anti-establishment with everything that I was always a problem at jobs. It was always like my art, it was always fighting business strategy and I was like, they just need to be together from my own brain. He got me thinking. And I think on that trip, I also decided like, you know what, I'm going to make a go for it as well. And then the next day we went for coffee at James Coffee. And at the time they had like a cool little boutique menswear store in there and they had like a ring tray. So like I immediately went over to it and I saw a turquoise ring. Dude, I paid like $375 for that. Like the stone's cracked. It's physically broken. It wasn't even like in good condition. Like you can tell it had been resized a bunch of times with all like the burn marks on the back of the band.
But that's all telling a story too, right?
Yeah, which is why I like it. And put it on my credit card, which was like near maxed. And I remember my wife, when I got home, was like, that's nice. I'm like, it's like $300. She's like, why? And I was just like, I really liked it. And like, Chris and I were standing outside and thinking about it. She's like, it's going to mark a time where like I made a decision to just take my life in my own hands. And I bought it and I wore it every single day pretty much until we made the replacement, which now kind of feels like the beginning and like the arrival of reaching my dream.
These stories and the kind of romantic side of them that people don't always hear. Mm-hmm. I want to tell these stories more, one thing we've never even talked about publicly is why we use the North Star or the compass rose as our logo.
I don't think I've ever heard this.
It's really simple, man. It's that really kind of simple, kind of cliche idea of just like, following your gut, right? Like it's supposed to be like, that's your North Star. That's kind of like, the thing that drives you. And that's all it really meant, right? And when I think about your story and you're just like, I think I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to trust my gut and like do what I want to do. That's what we're trying to, what we're trying to talk about. It's what we represent.
Like when you came over for a brainstorm for these pieces, we talked about that. We talked about those stories. And like even this specific one, which we called Aurora, is based off the first time I ever saw the Northern Lights. And we were doing a trip in Finland and I was with my friend Maddie and we were riding sleds, like snowmobiles, like through this crazy snowy forest where like the trees were all hanging over to make like a beautiful little canopy. It was just so wild to see it for the first time. And I think the next night I saw it again. We were on dog sleds. actual dog sleds. The guy saw the lights, we stopped, and he made the dogs like all quiet, and they all sat down. He like turned off all his lights, and like you could just see it. Yeah, every time I look at these or wear them, it reminds me of like the trip and the people I was with. So they're all purposeful. Like they've all got reasons. Like the pickup truck is the whole story of Walt and my grandfather, and like that video has yet to come out. It's coming. I'm working on it. It's funny because like I had the thought of selling Walt the other day.
No,
I was like,
you
maybe
did
I'll
not.
sell him.
No, you're getting the lift. You're getting the
I
lift.
know,
You're
I
stacking
know.
it.
But I thought about like maybe I'll sell it. So I did all the stuff to that truck, and then I thought, well, maybe it's time to move it on and work on the next project. But my wife crushed me with something because usually she's a great supporter of everything, and she said to me like, I don't want you to sell it because of how much Jack loves it and associates it to you.
Oh, that's
and
wicked.
Jack's my son, and I was like, I can never sell it now. Like I can never ever sell it. We're actually bidding on the exact replica 1977 F100 step side in a different color, so we can name it Walt and Vilma, which is my grandmother's name.
Grandmother's name's Velma?
Vilma, yeah.
My grandma's Velma.
With an E?
E.
Oh, that's so wild.
Yeah.
That'd be a great name for a piece.
That's
Vilma.
a good call. I never thought about that, but yeah, I should do that. Actually, there's another thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Sure.
I want to do another making a video, and I want to do it in Bali.
Yo, count me in, dude.
Yeah,
count me in for sure. I went there once, and it was so rad. And
I'd love to tell the story too, because so many people have these ideas. They're like, oh, like made in Asia, like it's some sketchy factory, but it's like we're literally friends with the people making this stuff. Like they're the coolest people. This isn't a factory. These are skilled people, like true creatives over there, and like
I'd love to go jam with them.
I want to capture that.
Yeah.
Like I want people to see.
Like they're not just employees in a factory grinding out some rings day to day.
No, like shout out to
artists.
Putu. Like he's like one of the nicest dudes, and he's been working with us from like day one, and like it's sick. Like when we started there's 12 people. There's like 75 people there now, and like they all just work on clocks, and
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks so much for coming out, and thanks for giving me the platform and the ability to actually make something like this, because it's pretty cool, and as you already know, it means a lot, but I'm hyped on these, and I'm glad that we could do them together.
Yeah, dude, same.
Yeah.
I love doing it, so we'll keep at it.
So guys, check out Clocks and Colors in the description below. For the next week, we're going to offer 15% off all of the Peter McKinnon collab pieces. All you got to do is enter code McKinnon at checkout, and that'll shave off 15% for you. So thank you for doing that to all of our followers and people that are fans of the brand and fans of the stories, which is what's driving the whole collection in the first place. So thanks for sharing yours, and we got to do this again, man. That was fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Bam.
Cheers.